Godot 4.1 will be released in a few days, as it was confirmed in the latest post of release candidate 3. Godot contributors managed to fix a few more critical regressions during the testing phase of release candidate 2, which justify making a third release candidate. If all goes well, we should be on track for a 4.1 release in a few days. This release contains a number of improvements compared to Godot 4.0 published earlier this year. Some systems have also been reworked, which means projects that rely on those need to be updated. However, for most games and apps made with 4.0, it should be safe to migrate to 4.1. So today I'll be checking out the final release candidate of Godot 4.1, release candidate 3. And now let's start. So if we go to the official website of Godot and we scroll down a little bit, you're gonna find the release candidate Godot 4.1 release candidate 3. So here in the second paragraph, we have lots of information that I said on the introduction, and also here there is also information I read on the introduction as well. This is a very small update, because if we keep scrolling a little bit and we head to the what's new section, we can see that there were only 10 contributors who submitted only 11 improvements. So you can see that the list here is very short. But well, the most important thing here is that if all goes well, we should be on track for a 4.1 release in just a few days. So this means that probably by Friday or maybe on Monday, we should have the official release 4.1. Another thing that is very important, that here it says, please keep reporting issues that you encounter with the RC, even if you don't think they are critical. Here, while trying them, we might prioritize them for early on in the 4.2 development cycle. So this means that if there is some error in this release candidate, probably they're gonna list that bug to fix it in the 4.2 version. So again, this tells us again that 4.1 release is just a few days away from us. Okay, so let's jump to the download section, and here I'm gonna download the standard build. Of course, you can download the version for C# support and that kind of stuff, but I'm just gonna stick to the standard build. And here I'm gonna select the version for Windows 64 bits. I'm gonna click it. As usual, this is just a compressed file, so I'm gonna wait a couple of seconds. Okay, so once we have our file downloaded, I'm gonna double click it. Okay, I have it right here. And well, we have the executable file of Godot, and we also have just the console window, that is this file here. As you can see here, it says console. So to open the executable, I will double click it, wait a couple of seconds, and now here I am in the editor. I'm gonna maximize it. And well, as I told you before, this version is not gonna have a lot of relevant changes, as mostly every release candidate, they are just small bug fixes or reworks in the existing features. So firstly, I'm gonna quickly talk about the manage tags. Basically, what you can do with this is to add tags to your project. So for example, as you can see here, I have some tags that I have already created. For example, prototype, beta 2, completed project, etc. And the important thing here is that, for example, if I click this prototype, I only see the projects that have this tag. So on the other hand, if I click, for example, completed project, I only see the projects that have this tag. And the exact same thing will happen if I click this tag. This is super useful to start ordering our editor, because sometimes we have a lot of projects and the tags is a great way to organize them, or let's say to just show the projects that you are interested. So how you can add a new tag? For example, I'm gonna select the latest project I have, that is 4.1 release candidate 2, manage tags, and here you have the old tags window where you can add a new tag. For example, here it will be RC2, and here it says tag name must be lowercase, so let's do it like this. And okay, here we have our tag. Something that I don't know really how to do it is how to delete a previously created tag. I mean, I have here created prototype, completed project, etc. And if I, for example, right click them, click the delete key or anything, I can't delete them. So that's something that I believe they are gonna add when they release finally the stable version. Okay, once you have understood this feature, let's click OK, and I'm gonna create a new project and I will name it this is gonna be 4.1 RC3. Create folder. As usual, you can select the renderer, but I'm just gonna leave the default option, and I'm gonna click where it says create and edit. I will leave the recording so that we can see how much time it takes to create and open a project. As you can see, as always, it's super fast. So another important feature that was added on this version is the possibility to make a window floating. So if we click in any window, I mean in these three dots here, for example, we can make a window floating. And this is such a useful feature, because if we have two monitors, for example, I could drag and drop this window in my other monitor, so I will have more space to have more windows open and being more organized. Of course, this feature, if you only have like one monitor, it's not gonna make a big difference, but you can really take advantage of this feature if you have two or even more monitors. Or another window that you can make floating is the script window. So we can first, I believe we have to create a scene, and here go to the script window, and here we have this icon here, and this is to make the window floating. You don't really have to create a scene, my bad. So again, I can drag and drop this script editor wherever I want, and that's super useful. And if we close this window, you can see the window goes back to its initial position. And of course, the same thing happened if, for example, I make floating the inspector window. I drag and drop it, I don't know, right here, for example, and then I close this inspector. You can see it comes back to the original position. So now that you know all the important features on the updates, let's create something very basic. So I have my 2D scene here. I'm gonna rename it, and I'm gonna add some very basic stuff. I mean, just an icon. Actually, I'm gonna add 3 icons in total, and I'm gonna drag and drop them like this, like as if they were a triangle. And then in my root node, I'm gonna create a new script with an object empty template, so that we have no functions, no comments, just an empty script. Here, what I'm gonna do is that on my update function, func update, the process, because update is in Unity. I'm always using Unity, that's why I may get confused. Also, we're having here some warning here about the blender or something like that. This warning has been here, I believe, since the first version of Godot 4 or Godot 4.1, and they haven't fixed it yet. But well, let's just continue. In my process delta, if we are pressing the key 1, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the first icon color to something like red, for example. Then I'm gonna copy and paste these lines of code 2 more times like this. If we press the 2, I'm gonna change the second one color to another color, for example blue. Then if we press the third number, I'm gonna change the third icon to yellow, for example. So this code is very basic and easy to understand. When we press the key 1, our first icon will be red. When we press the key 2, our second icon will be blue, and when we click the key 3, our third icon will be yellow. Very simple. So I'm gonna click where it says play, select current scene as my main one, and I'm gonna save my scene. Okay, here we have our 3 icons, and I'm gonna press firstly 1, then 2, and finally 3. Well, I pressed them at the same time, but as you can see, everything works just fine. I will here have a warning, but this because the delta parameter, I should spell it like this, so that when we play again, no warning is seen here. So now that we have checked out that everything in the desktop version works perfectly fine, and we're gonna actually try the web editor. Something very important about the web editor is that, as you may already know, this web editor is not meant to be used like to create the whole project and to publish it. It's just to prototype things, or if you are abroad, it's useful because you can open it in any browser. And well, in a previous release candidate, I wasn't able to actually open a project. I don't know why it crashed. So let's try now if I can create a project. In previous versions, I could perfectly like start the editor, but I couldn't actually load the project. Okay, so here I am in my project. So I'm gonna click a new project, and I'm gonna name it RC3, create folder, and I will click create an edit. I will be leaving this like loading, and let's see if it can actually load something. Okay, yes, it loads, but I remember that last time I wasn't able to like open a scene, I mean to run a scene. So I'm gonna create a new to this scene. I will save it right here. Okay, no, as you can see here in my resources, in my file system, I don't see anything like a scene save or something like that. And as you can see, we have this symbol here which indicates that we haven't saved our scene. So again, I'm gonna press Ctrl S. Nothing is happening right now. I'm gonna try to save it right here. No, nothing happens. Save as. Okay, as you can see here, it appears, but I actually believe it's not being like saved. So now when I, for example, try to run a scene, run the game, I want to select the current scene. As you can see, it tells me to again here save scene before running, but I have already saved the scene. So I click save. Okay, and as you can see here, again says selected scene that does not exist, select a valid one. Well, of course I will select this scene, and the same thing keeps happening and happening. I can't make it work. So yeah, the web editor doesn't really work, I believe. And finally, remember that we also have the Android editor, that as you can see, we have it here. We have both version for editor 3 and for editor 4. And well, as you can see, it has a bunch of downloads. So yeah, that should be all for today's video. I am always uploading the latest news of Godot, so if you wanna be the first one, the first person of knowing when the official version of Godot 4.1 is released, subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications. That's all for today's video. See you in the next one, and bye bye.